I almost saw a Lamborghini get towed, and I had a weird confrontation with an employee of the event. Let's chat. Bummer. I'm Amanda, you're watching Girly Pop Go, and today we are talking about Velocity Invitational, a car event and racing invitational that happened in Sonoma, California this past weekend. I went because I went last year for fun, and then I ended up making a video for Swell Entertainment about it. Everyone was like, oh my god, what are you doing? That's so cool. Can you tell us what that is? When I was there posting about it. So I ended up making a sit-down video. I went this year because one, I had a good time last year, and two, I now have a motorsport and car hobby channel. So of course I could justify doing another car event, and I could get a couple of videos out of that. So some of those I'm sure are already out by the time this goes out. My review from last year overall was very complimentary, and I'm still going to be fairly complimentary. I had some great experiences. I have a good time, but I always have the goal of having a good time. But there were a couple more issues this year than there was last year that I do think need to be addressed. And also I had a very weird experience with someone that worked with the event, and I thought it was very weird, and I have to talk about it. So I initially made a video about Velocity Invitational before I went, talking about how I was just going to do general admission. Now I did do that. However, I really wanted to go to the pro drivers talk that was going to be at Turn 11 only. So I ended up buying also the Turn 11 experience for the weekend as well. So I never refunded my other tickets. So they got about $1,300 from me. I also paid for valet parking, which I do still stand by. That is the best way to do this. Already much busier today. It is later though. Getting in and out, I never really had much of an issue. It was very hot this year. Velocity Invitational last year was the weekend before the Las Vegas Grand Prix, all right? So I was able to do Velocity Invitational, fly to Vegas so that I could do the Netflix Cup, and then stay in Vegas so that I could go to the Las Vegas Grand Prix. This year, they moved it, so instead of having Velocity Invitational in November, they moved it to October. I assume, frankly, that they may have done that to coincide with the fall break for Formula One. And I wonder if they may have done that to try and accommodate McLaren a little bit easier. And also something that I don't think they were expecting was the heat wave California got. You know, climate change is a thing, and so California has been very hot lately, 100 degrees on average, which again, not their fault. They can't control the sun, the heat, the atmosphere. I knew, because there had been nothing confirmed, McLaren was not going to be the main partner of the event. Last year was their 60th anniversary, and so they had taken over the whole back garage and had all of these historical cars out. They had Lando Norris come out, they had Pato O'Ward, David Malukas, TK, okay? Now this year, they did have a few of their IndyCar drivers come out, and there was other IndyCar drivers and former Formula One drivers that came as well, but McLaren was not heavily involved this year. They did have a local McLaren location set up with a couple of McLarens out, but McLaren racing, McLaren as a whole, was not a big part of this event this year. That's fine. That's not going to happen every single year, but I do feel like that was something that was drastically missing. Obviously, nothing's going to compare to last year when I had an amazing time, okay? And I got to have an incredible experience of going in a Formula One car. Nothing's gonna top that, okay? Even this year, I got to do cool stuff. Still does not top last year, okay? I'm sorry. I got to do really cool things, but like does not top this. I feel like they needed a major car manufacturer or car sponsor for this event, whether that was AMG, whether that was BMW, whether that was McLaren, whether that was Ferrari or Porsche, whatever. I think they needed a big major something in that back garage, a title sponsor or something that was a car company. What they instead had, their main partnership was with Catalyst. Catalyst is an energy drink. Now, I don't know if they are currently associated with Williams Formula One team or Williams in general, but they were affiliated with the Williams sim racing setup that they had at Velocity Invitational. I never did it, but I thought this was very odd, okay, to have Catalyst as it was there. Nothing, odd is not the word. As a business person and as someone who reviews products and things like that, to see the way that Catalyst handled this event, very weird, okay? So Catalyst had one little booth in the back connected to the sim racing setup. You could walk up there and they had a bunch of cans everywhere. And so I'm assuming when I walked up, I'm like, oh cool, I'm gonna get to try a flavor and then pick a can. No, they gave us little sample cups of various flavors. And then they would say, and you can go buy one for like $6.75 or whatever it was at the bar. I don't know about you, but that does not build, I'm assuming, the type of like brand awareness that you may want, because it does just make me think that you guys are cheap, or you don't have the money to like give out free cans. Obviously, they don't have to do that, but it was like, I just didn't like that. I was like, this seems weird. I went all 3 days. It was very hot. I left early some days, especially because some days were busier than others. Last year, obviously, I spent a lot of time in the McLaren Heritage Garage because I was having such a good time there. I made friends with people that worked there. I made friends with other fans that were in the area and things like that. And I just spent a lot of time there, okay? So to now have the plaza where all the stuff is, okay, outside of the track, and to not have anything really in that back garage space felt really empty and weird. Those garages were closed. The only thing leading that way was that it led to the Sip and Savor Pavilion, which I never really engaged with because, again, I don't drink. I didn't bother. I had a couple of cars there parked a couple of times, but there was no like big deal anything over there, and it just felt kind of empty and void of things, you know? Again, I just think having something utilizing that space in a way that is involving of your attendees, I think is a good move, okay? A couple of the same booths from last year, nothing too crazy. Donut spot was back again. Mwah, amazing. I had a lot of donuts. Look at that. They also had ice cream. Phenomenal, because it was boiling. I got so much soft serve chocolate ice cream. It was amazing. One thing that I was really bummed by is that the ragtime racers were not there this year. I have no idea why, but that was a real bummer to me because I thought that was really cool last year to see the ragtime racers go out. I don't know if they weren't invited back. I don't know if they didn't want to do it again. I don't know, but I was really looking forward to seeing them on track again, and I was really bummed by that. I definitely felt like it was like, there were things that felt like it was missing. Friday, it was completely dead. There were people there, but it was not super busy, okay? Saturday and Sunday, obviously much busier, and that was when the professional drivers panel was and things like that. So I went in to go be like, hey, do I need anything for this? And I went and got my wristbands for that. And they said, oh, and we have the doors closed because the talk is at 10, but we'll open it right after. And I was like, 10? Because on the schedule, it said the talk started at 11. So good thing I got there when I did, and I just hung out and stayed in there. I checked the schedule again to make sure I wasn't reading it wrong, because on there it still said 11. Either they're moving it up or there's a discrepancy. They had no food out yet or anything like that, but I go and get a drink, and then I hear behind me, it's like, oh, there's lemonade. Let me get lemonade. I turn around, and there is Romain Grosjean and Tony Kanaan waiting for lemonade. So I said, sorry, and then walked away.
I just apologize to Romain Grosjean and Tony Kanaan for blocking them from getting lemonade. My job is great.
Follow me for more incredible communication skills. Pro drivers talk. It was Romain Grosjean, Tony Kanaan, Nolan Siegel, and Christian Lundgaard. I filmed the whole thing. I'll have that all in another video, I'm sure. It ended up starting closer to like 10:20 and then ending around 11. Now, I should also note in here for turn 11, the lounge is not the same thing as the driver's experience that I did last year. This is a separate room. This is the Sonoma room, okay, that is next door to the driver's lounge. Do I think this was necessarily worth $900? Still no, but that's just me. They did have lunch for us each day, and the food was, it was nice to be able to go and get food and things like that, especially because there were food options that were good, but then there was also fly issues and things like that, so I'll give them that. I did have some of the driest chicken I've ever had in my life, but I do think that comes with the issue of making a lot of food and then having it sit out. You run the risk of things getting dry. And you get to go and sit on the balcony that overlooks turn 11 for the track, which I do think is a good viewing experience, and there is a lot more shade there at times than on the actual grandstands. So something to note. Then I was like, okay, I have some time before the 12:35 Women in Motorsports panel. Okay, that was the other thing that I really wanted to go to that day, was go to the Women in Motorsports panel. The schedule for things to do at track said 12:30. So I walk around, I eat in the lounge, I go to the plaza where it says like, oh, this is where that talk is going to be. Where they were going to set up that talk is also where they had the meet and greet / autograph sessions going, okay, later that day. So I was like, this is kind of dumb that they have it set up this way, because like, why are they gonna have us, like, if we just wanna watch the panel, we have to stand behind the line of people that are waiting for autographs? That's ridiculous. Okay, it's like 12:35. I wanna make sure I'm not missing it. So I went and walked around. I tried to find someone that worked for the event, okay. Saw a group of people also talking with the marshals, okay. And they were also like, oh no, we're not sure it would be there. We think that's here. Let us radio, let's check. We're like, yeah, we don't know, but there's a fan information zone over there. We went and walked around and they were like, oh, we were already over here, because we thought maybe it was under the grandstands. Go up to the fan information zone, and that's where we see that they have printed out the day's events. 11:30. 11:30 is when the Women in Motorsports panel was. Checking around because I'm frustrated. That was one of the things that I wanted to see. I made an Instagram story post very upset and very annoyed because at the time, based on the information I had, I assumed they had rescheduled the event and told no one, okay? I checked their Instagram, Velocity Invitational's Instagram, and about right before the Woman in Motorsports panel, because it said an hour ago at the time. It was about an hour ago at the time of me discovering all this information. It said the day's thing, Woman in Motorsports panel, okay? And that would have been right before it actually happened. What happened is there were 2 times on different schedules. One was wrong. So what you had was the Velocity Invitational schedule, okay, which included all of the track times, like various Group A, Group B, things like that, Group 3, Group 2, whatever. So the day before, that's all it looks like, okay? But then for that day and the next day, it had including the other events for the day, okay? But if you were there on Friday and you look at that, you're like, oh, this is just for the cars, I'm not gonna look at this one. But then you have the other one, things to do on site or other things to do at Velocity Invitational. You click that schedule, and that schedule has all the other things on it, including the times, the Woman in Motorsports panel, okay? And that is the one that said 12:35 or 12:45. And again, I was not the only one looking for this panel at the time. I was not the only one that made this mistake. I was still annoyed this day, but then that same day, I had seen this Lamborghini parked behind these lowriders, okay, that had been parked under the grandstands because they like to park different cars under the grandstands, okay? They had a whole string of lowriders, which were incredible, stunning cars, okay? And then you had this white Lambo. Now, I don't have an issue with Lambo. I don't like white Lambos in particular. I just hate white Lambos. I think it's the most boring color you can do on a Lambo. Like this is one of the cars that is like socially acceptable to have like vibrant purple, you know, an electric green, if you will. When you go white, I don't like it. It's not my favorite.
She's also part of the Women Motorsport Summit. She'll be taking part in that with Pickle Man. And just great to see that Women in Motorsport.
I come back and they're putting a little piece of paper, and the slip of paper says, your car will be towed in 30 minutes. I am instantly in a better mood because now I have a side quest. Now I'm sitting there, I'm getting photos with this Lamborghini, waiting for them to come tow the car. I am hanging around. Anyone coming up taking photos, I'm like, yeah, they're gonna tow it. 15 minutes past the deadline and the man comes up, moves his car. They waited too long to tow it. But I was very excited thinking I was going to get to watch a Lamborghini get towed. I wanted to see what that would look like, devastated. So just loss after loss after loss, okay, on Saturday. I think after that is when I was like, all right, I'm done. I think I did another 2 laps. I had a guy hit on me in a weird way. So I had a very real, totally real, not at all non-fake boyfriend that just couldn't make it. Okay, last day, it's gonna be good. I can't remember if the hill climb was Saturday or Sunday. I have to check my footage. Side note, the hill climb was something I was like, oh, this would be really, really cool. I wanna see this. The hill climb sounds like it would be cooler if you were in the car watching it. Not as cool. Something that I think Velocity Invitational is missing, I don't think I even mentioned this in the last year's video. They do not have any screens out in the plaza, into the stands, anywhere. What they have is in the driver's lounge and in the Turn 11 lounge, and I'm assuming the Price Family Dealership lounge, which is the one next door to where I was. Plenty of screens in those rooms, okay? And they had those going the entire time of the broadcast. But why you wouldn't have screens available while people are doing, you know, in the plaza or walking around the paddock and things like that, I don't know. Yes, that's a cost, but like that would be very cool. And I just feel like since there's not a ton of visibility with this track for the entire spots of where the grandstand is and things like that, I just think you need screens. I already did a video about the drift ride along, so I'm not going to do a full breakdown of it here. But on the Sunday, they had moved a couple of things around, like Waymo was suddenly there. For that, they had the drifting ride along stand set up there. Now, I hadn't done the drifting ride along because I just assumed it had been sold out. But no, they moved it to try and get more people to do it, which I think was very smart because it was just tucked away. So I ended up doing a drift ride along, and I was meeting Tony Cohen Brown, okay, that I knew through TikTok and the Netflix Cup, etc. Okay, she only came out for Sunday. We met up, and I was like, oh, I just did a drift ride along. She's like, do you want to do another one? The answer is yes. So she introduced me to the race service guys at the Michelin Tires booth with AMG, talking about me doing the ride along and all of that, and then said come back at 1:20. And then me and Tony walked around and talked for like 2 hours. Tony then had to leave. I did some more walking. I went and ate at the Turn 11, And then I went back, did some more walking. I did a lot of walking, got geared up, met F1 Ellie, went and did the ride along. Very cool, very fun. It was still boiling hot, but the shade had come in, which was nice. Hung out for a while, and then Ellie left. I left. It was like, I'm gonna go do another lap. But I was feeling a little queasy. I don't think it was from nausea at that point. I do think it was just like adrenaline crashing. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go sit in Turn 11 Lounge and, you know, watch some more of the races and things like that, the different groups going out, and just kind of have some water before I head out for the day because it was hot and I had to go film and do stuff. Had a little like souffle cake out, so I ended up eating that as well and sitting there for quite a while, okay? Get another water, get up to leave, and as I'm walking out of the lounge, place where to be, I had to buy a $900 ticket for, okay? Just want to make that note. Not that what happened would be fine if I hadn't done that, but I just want that note in your brain when I explain what's going to happen next. Because what happened next, I've continued to think about, okay? Because it's just so baffling to me. I want to make something abundantly clear. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like Girly Pop Go. You don't have to like Swell Entertainment, okay? You don't have to like me, Amanda, as a person, okay? You don't have to like my reviews. You don't have to respect my reviews. But when I'm in front of you at an event, at the very least, I think respectfulness should be, you know, the baseline, because I will give you that back as well. I will be respectful. That is my baseline. Unless there's truly an issue, we will not have an issue. I'm about to walk out of the lounge. There's a woman sitting at a table with a man, and there's another man standing between them, next to them at the table. The woman goes, "Did you have a good time?" As I'm walking by. Like, sorry? Better than last year? Did you have a good time? I'm sorry? What? Did you have a better time this year than last year? Now, I have made the connection that she must work for Velocity Invitational, okay? She did not say, "Hi, how are you? My name is, I work with this event." No, just immediate questions, which fine. And I was honest and I said, well, it's pretty hard to beat last year. And the man that was standing there never introduced himself, nothing, just said, "I agree," and then walked away. And I was like, you know, it was a huge deal with McLaren. She was like, mm-hmm. And I was like, you know, McLaren last year, they had that big garage set up and just having that all closed off just felt very weird this year. And she said, "Oh, well, that's our like head of operations or something like that. That's like our base of operations." And I was like, okay, like that's fine. I have no way of knowing that. Not really. I just think like major sponsor like that, very cool, hard to miss. I mentioned the frustration I had with the scheduling issues with the woman in motorsports panel. She said, yes, someone recommended that we should have a live timing. And because like things just keep changing. And I was like, oh, I understand that. Like, because, you know, people, that would help with like moving up this talk, like the pro drivers talk, and moving that up, having a live timing that everyone is aware of and is available to see and knows about and things like that. But I was like, doesn't help the fact that one of the schedules was wrong. That was the issue. That doesn't help things when you have a wrong time just on the schedule. She's like, yeah. And then she said, so we did see your video from last year. And we always try and take, you know, feedback in and I don't think she said the word criticism, but she mentioned my video. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, I'm Amanda, by the way. She said her name, introduced the man sitting next to her. They both work for Velocity Invitational. Okay. He never said a word the rest other than introducing himself. I had fun. I got to do a ride along. Bye. And I left. Her mentioning my video already, clearly I've upset you, okay, which is fine and valid. Now, this is obviously a very big Swell Entertainment section, okay, but something that I found with Swell Entertainment is that people consistently expect me to switch up when they are in front of me, and that is never going to be what I do, okay? I am, at my core, someone who stands on business, okay? I will not say anything on the internet that I would not say to someone's face, whether that is a commentary subject, an event review planner, or someone who has invited me to an event that they purposely want me to review. There have been times where I've been talking to the people that I've been reviewing that invited me to an event about issues that are happening and how we can fix them. You don't have to be cool with that, but I want you to know that when you are in front of me, if you start questioning me on things or challenging me on things or asking various questions and follow-ups and making it very clear that you saw my video at the very least last year, okay? I'm going to say what I want to say. This year was not better than last year. This year, in my opinion, was actively less than last year. I'm going to say that. What about this year, in your opinion, truly, if this woman happens to see this? Obviously, this is not going on Swell Entertainment. And again, I'm not saying your name. What of this year was better than last year, truly, in your opinion? I'm truly curious. And there are things that are probably outside of your control. I'm assuming they were desperately trying to get McLaren, or they tried to make it as easy as possible for McLaren to come in, and McLaren didn't want to come in for whatever reason, okay? Who knows? All right. That's one thing. Okay. But there were other things, the scheduling issues, things like that, the heat. They announced, by the way, while I was there, they announced the date for next year's Velocity Invitational. It's going to be in June. I will not be going. Even if I didn't have a bajillion and one other things, okay, I would not be going. Why? Because June is hot. This was an uncharacteristically hot weekend in October, but you know it's going to be hot in June, so I don't know why you thought that would be a good idea. When I brought this up to other people, okay, including my friends who have seen my Velocity Invitational video, they were like, your video is very complimentary. What about it could be an issue? Her mentioning my video I thought was interesting as well, because they're right. I openly said I had a great time at this event. I went here on my own volition for my birthday. I was not going to make a video review. The only thing that I probably talked about that you could arguably have an issue with, you can have an issue with the whole thing, really, that's fine. But I assume what it was, the only thing that logically makes sense, is that I said that the driver's experience was not worth the price tag. And that everything that I got to do that was very cool, I got just by talking to people, and not something that was, you know, orchestrated by Velocity Invitational itself, or because I had a driver's experience ticket, okay? Maybe that's what truly upset her, because that's the only thing that I can truly think that would give her pause, okay? And side note about my video, there were multiple people that came up to me and they were like, oh, I've seen you did a video on Velocity Invitational, right? Oh my gosh, I love that video. I got that quite a bit this weekend, okay? Some people even said, oh, I heard about this event from your video. Maybe that's what the upsetting part was, especially because in this year, February 2024, I got a DM from someone from Velocity Invitational's account saying that they watched my video with praying hands emojis. So I don't know what exactly the issue was, or if there was an issue or what, but all in all, that whole interaction, you can have an issue with me as well. Especially, again, remember where I was. At that moment, yes, I previously have made a video. You have no way of knowing whether or not I made a video again, whether or not I was going to make a video again. All you know in that moment is that I am a paying attendee. They did not give me a free pass or anything. So why would you do this here in the lounge? Especially when I had been sitting there for a while. You could have walked up, hi, my name is, I work with Velocity Invitational. Would love to talk with you about your experience this year. How did it compare to last year? Is there anything you would change? We're always looking for feedback. Literally anything. As a businesswoman, it was just truly shocking to me to like experience this way, because like I don't know what this was, truly. I don't know what you thought you were going to achieve from this. I don't know. Did you truly think I was going to be like, oh yeah, this year is way better than last year, when I clearly had an amazing time last year? Anyways, that's a tangent. Obviously, it was very long. And some of you are going to be like, that's not a big deal. That's fine, okay? But this happens with me a lot, where people come and confront me and they expect me to change my tune or be like, oh, I didn't mean it. You're right, the price tag was worth it. Oh my gosh, no, who needs McLaren? This event is amazing without it. I love that there's no screens. Like, I'm not that person. All in all, will I be going back next year? Not if it stays in June. Multi-country international plans for May and June. So I will be busy the entire time. Have you ever been to Velocity Invitational? Would you go to Velocity Invitational? Have you ever done a GT3 hot lap? Have you ever done a drifting ride along? Let me know. Comment down below. Be sure to follow, like, subscribe, all that good stuff if you would like to see more from Girly Pop Go. And that's going to be it. Goodbye. I thought I was going to manage to make it through the whole weekend without seeing one, but no, today of all days.